It's none of your business, she yelled, her voice sharp enough to cut through the kitchen like broken glass. The words stunned me more than the volume. We weren't a yelling couple. Disagreements, sure, but never this. Never that look in her eyes like I'd crossed some invisible line just by asking a simple question. Why are you getting calls this late? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. I woke up to your phone buzzing again. She snatched her phone off the counter and shoved it into her pocket. You're imagining things. Stop interrogating me. Then she walked out of the room, leaving behind a silence so loud it made my ears ring. I stood there, staring at the half-cold coffee between my hands, wondering how a marriage that once felt so solid had started to feel like a room with missing floorboards. You don't fall through all at once. You feel the creaks first. That night I didn't sleep. I kept replaying her tone. The way she'd said none of your business, not defensively but angrily, as if I was the problem, as if my concern was an accusation she resented. For weeks there had been signs. Small ones. Easy to excuse if you love someone enough. She'd started leaving the room to take calls. Her phone was always on silent now, face down like it had something to hide. She was suddenly too tired for conversations we used to enjoy, but somehow wide awake, scrolling late into the night. When I reached for her in bed, she stiffened, then apologized like affection had become a chore. I told myself every marriage goes through phases. Stress, work, life. I told myself trust meant not looking too closely. At 2:17 a.m. her phone proved me wrong. I woke to a buzzing sound that wouldn't stop. At first I thought it was my alarm malfunctioning. Then I realized it was coming from her side of the bed. She wasn't there. Her phone sat on the nightstand, lighting up again and again. Missed call. Missed call. Missed call. 18 of them. Same number. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I didn't want to touch the phone. Touching it felt like crossing a point of no return. But she wasn't in the bathroom. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Picked it up. No password. She'd never changed it. The call log told a story I wasn't ready to read. Dozens of calls over the past few weeks. Late nights. Early mornings. Gaps that lined up perfectly with her errands and work meetings. A text preview slid across the screen. Why won't you answer? I need to hear your voice. My hands went cold. I wasn't angry yet. Anger requires certainty. What I felt was something worse. A sickening blend of hope and dread. The kind that makes you beg for an explanation you know won't save you. I heard the front door open. She froze when she saw me sitting on the bed, her phone in my hands. For a moment, neither of us spoke. In that pause, our entire marriage seemed to hang suspended, fragile as glass. You went through my phone? She asked, her voice low. Who is he? I asked. She looked away. That was the moment everything collapsed. She sat down slowly, rubbing her temples like she was the one overwhelmed. It didn't start like this, she said. We were just talking. I didn't mean for it to get complicated. Complicated. That was the word she chose. I asked questions I already knew the answers to. How long? How often? Did she love him? She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. She said, I didn't think you'd find out. That hurt more than any confession. The days that followed felt like walking through a house after a fire. Everything still standing but coated in ash. Memories turned toxic. Our wedding photos. Inside jokes. Late night talks that I thought meant something. I questioned myself constantly. Was I not enough? Had I missed something obvious? Could I have stopped this if I'd been more attentive, more exciting, less predictable? She cried. She apologized. She said she was confused. She said she still loved me. But love doesn't ask for secrecy. Love doesn't demand silence at 2:17 in the morning. The turning point came when I realized I was checking her phone more than my own. Reading her moods like warning signs, bracing myself every time it buzzed. I wasn't living, I was monitoring. And that wasn't trust. That was survival mode. One evening I told her calmly, I don't recognize myself anymore. She looked at me, really looked at me, and I think that was when she understood the damage wasn't just what she'd done, but what it had turned me into. We didn't end things in anger. There was grief, regret, long conversations that didn't fix anything but needed to happen anyway. The last night I slept in that house, I lay awake listening to the quiet, realizing how loud dishonesty had been all along. I left with a suitcase and a heart that felt bruised but intact. Healing didn't come quickly. Some nights still ache. Some memories still sting. But I learned something I didn't know before. Love without respect is just fear in disguise. And walking away wasn't weakness. It was the first honest thing I'd done for myself in a long time. At 2:17 a.m. everything changed. But in the wreckage, I found my way back to who I was before I started apologizing for asking the truth.